Tech giants prefer Malaysia for data centers, our government minister admits, and controversy of villa projects questioned. Stay tuned for details on these stories and more. Welcome to the latest news from Bali and Indonesia. This is October 13th, 2024, and my name is Bruce. And what is the weather like today? Wow, it is hot again, another hot day. At 10 o'clock in the morning, it is 31.4 degrees Celsius, humidity 66%, and the wind speed is 12.4 kilometers per hour. Still no rain up here in Kampung, and sunny skies, and the ocean is looking very good. But it is so hot and muggy here. Wow, it is not very comfortable. Okay, lots of stuff today as usual, and so let's get started. Tech giants prefer Malaysia for data centers, our government minister admits. Communication and Information Minister Budi Ari Setiadi has admitted that global tech companies like Google and Microsoft prefer Malaysia to Indonesia as a location for data centers. He attributed this to lower electricity costs and attractive fiscal incentives in the neighboring country. In Malaysia, he said, electricity costs just 8 US cents per kilowatt hour. They also offer tax exemptions for capital goods and provide legal certainty for investors. Yanto Hantoro, President Commissioner at Indonesia Data Center Operation Bersama Digital Data Centers, BDDC, highlighted that Indonesia's electricity prices ranging from 11 to 12 cents per kilowatt hour were not competitive. Budi emphasized that Indonesia's large population and abundant renewable energy resources could make it an appealing market for modern data centers. Yet, the country was only expected to attract $634 million in data center investment this year, significantly less than Malaysia. He underscored the need to improve the investment climate in the country and offer competitive incentives to attract global players. I hope we can lower the electricity costs for data centers. We must not create the impression that investing in Indonesia is difficult, he added. Singapore imposed a moratorium on data center development from 2019 through 2022, which some described at the time as a prime opportunity for Indonesia to step into the breach as an alternative location for globally connected data centers. However, it was Johor State in Malaysia that seized the moment, expanding its data center capacity from 10 megawatts to 1.3 gigawatts during that period. In contrast, Indonesia currently operates just 300 megawatts of data centers, despite a similar proximity to the city-state, according to the Indonesia Data Center Association. Data center capacity is commonly measured in power consumption and hence expressed in watts. The IDPRO had predicted that Indonesia's data center capacity would grow to 2.3 gigawatts over the next decade, positioning the country as a potential renewable hub due to its renewable energy sources. However, the association stressed that, for this to happen, the government needed to offer more than just income tax breaks to attract investors and prevent them from looking elsewhere in the region. To be honest, Malaysia has capitalized on Singapore's data center moratorium in a really perfect way, according to the chairman of IDPRO. On October 1st, Google held a groundbreaking ceremony for its data center in Malaysia, attended by the Prime Minister, Anwar Ibrahim, 5 months after the tech giant announced the plans. The facility, located around 20 kilometers east of Kuala Lumpur, involves a $2 billion investment. It is expected to contribute $3.2 billion to the country's GDP and create 26,500 jobs by 2030. A day earlier, the company announced a $1 billion investment to build data centers in Thailand, which are projected to create 14,000 jobs by 2029. In May, fellow tech giant Microsoft revealed a plan to invest $2.2 billion in Malaysia over the next 4 years, which would include the construction of its first data center infrastructure in the country. And you know this has got to irritate some people in the country when Malaysia gets something and Indonesia doesn't. But it seems like Malaysia has a better infrastructure, a cheaper infrastructure, and a more favorable investment climate. How will Indonesia respond to all this? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. And the moratorium on villa construction and hotel construction, still waiting for that. It's supposed to come sometime this month or at the end of this month, maybe. But in the meantime, villas and hotels are under construction as usual. But in some communities in Bali, there's been pushback on the creation of villas because of a number of reasons. Quite often because the local community was not aware of what was going on. And so let's take a look at that. Tabanan Satpol PP finally stops controversial villa project. The Tabanan Regency government through Tabanan Satpol PP has finally stopped the construction of a villa located in Banjardinas, Wangaya in Penebel in Tabanan. In a statement delivered by the head of Tabanan Satpol PP, Igede Sukanada, the Tabanan regional government through Satpol, together with other related agencies, has checked the construction of villas in the village 3 times. This was, of course, after receiving a complaint report regarding the construction of the villa from the local community. When he got off into the field, it turned out that the villa construction activity was underway. He went down to make sure and find out the truth about whether the villa project had a permit or not. He said, when we came down, of course, we involved technical OPDs such as the PUPR service and the licensing service. Based on the results in the field, the construction of the villa did not have a permit. Even the results of the study by the Tabanan PUPR service and the licensing service in the field showed that the location of the villa building is on protected rice fields. The owner of the villa development has been given a warning in the form of guidance by advising them to stop the villa development project. We've already stopped construction of villas for a while because it does not have a permit, he said. Meanwhile, the head of Tabanan Housing and Settlement Area Spatial Planning Agency, PUPR, PKP, said his party had checked the location of the villa construction project and it is indeed in protected rice fields. The spatial planning information has been issued, but the ITR issued states the location is in the LSD area, so that the construction of the villa is not feasible, he said briefly. And so another instance of villas, hotels, whatever, being constructed without having a permit and nobody actually checking on what was going on until complaints from the community about that. And so at this point, this has been stopped, this villa development project, and well, they're supposed to go and get a license. I don't know how they're going to get a license if they're in a green area, but as you know, lots of ways to do things here. And more on villas and problems. The case of renting customary land in Bugbug traditional village in Karangasem has had long consequences. Krama and residents protested the policy of the head of the traditional village. The head was accused of renting customary land without the knowledge and consent of the residents. An impromptu meeting was held on this past Wednesday, and a lot of people were there. Residents questioned the fate of the 1 hectare of land that the Kelian rented to the businessman to build a villa. They took these steps because the land rental was deemed to be inconsistent with existing village regulations. During this meeting, hundreds of police from the Karangasem Police and the Bali Police Mobile Brigade were seen guarding the area. This was done to ensure that the meeting ran smoothly without any friction or disputes. Wow, this is serious. In the Awig regulations of the traditional village, it's prohibited to sell or rent village land. Moreover, this land is rented without the knowledge of the residents, according to Paroman Chairman Igade Putra Arnawa. He said there were several decisions that were obtained and approved by the residents who attended the meeting. One of them was that the residents would take legal action regarding the rental of the land. The head of the village called the informal meeting illegal. He spoke out regarding the land leased by the traditional village of 1 hectare without the knowledge of the residents. He claimed that the land lease process had gone through existing provisions and regulations. The process is the same as the previous 2 hectare land rental and has received approval from Doolan Village Head as the highest decision maker in Bugbug Traditional Village. He also said that the 1 hectare land was one certificate with 2 hectares of land that had previously been leased to investors from the Czech Republic. The land was leased for the construction of a villa, which was also protested by some residents, where the land belongs to the Bugbug Traditional Village with an area of 23 hectares. The 1 hectare of land is next to the 2 hectares of land that was previously built as a villa because the renter is the same investor. In the future, it will probably be used for expanding the villa or maybe something else, he said. Regarding the community group that held the meeting on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, Pura Ursana considered that it was illegal because it was only attended by a small part of the traditional village community. He said if this so-called meeting is attended by all the Karama, 20,000 people, then it's valid. However, he said not that many were there. He assumed that the meeting was deliberately done to hinder the smooth running of a ceremony, a big ceremony that is coming up in the near future. Given that when the meeting was carried out, several residents were also installing penjor for the ceremony. Those who carried out the meeting yesterday probably did not want the village to progress in terms of tourism and perhaps also wanted to thwart the smooth running of the ceremony, he said. So, pushback is coming in some places because communities are not happy about some villa construction because of one reason or another. In one case, it's on green land. In the other case, well, apparently the land has been leased in contradiction to local regulations. And see if there's any more follow-up on this in the next few days. And what about immigration? Lots of stories about people being deported. Again, more and more stories about this. And we've got the usual overstay and some issues with investor visas and not ponying up enough money. And then we have just some purely criminal acts. People, and this seems to be becoming more common, who go into hotels or restaurants and eat and then do a runner, don't pay. And so we have that going on. And then, of course, there's prostitution and, wow, just a lot of stuff. And so how is immigration dealing with this? What do you think? Immigration intensifies patrols of foreign nationals. The Bali Regional Office of the Ministry of Law and Human Rights through Class 1 TPI, Denpasar Immigration Office, again carried out immigration patrols in the Ubud tourism area on Thursday, a couple of days ago. This patrol aims to maintain security and ensure foreigners' compliance with immigration regulations in the Bali region, especially in tourist destinations that are frequently visited by foreign tourists. The patrol began at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and involved a team from the Intelligence and Immigration Enforcement section of the Denpasar office. The head of the Denpasar office explained that this activity targeted 2 main locations, Jalan Monkey Forest and the Ubud Art Market, which are centers for foreign tourist crowds. A patrol team consisting of 4 personnel moved from the Denpasar Immigration Office to Ubud and immediately conducted an inspection around Jalan Monkey Forest. Although the location is crowded with foreign tourists, no immigration violations were found. I'm not sure which ones they were looking for and how they were doing it. The situation is safe. No immigration violations have been found, he said. After completing the patrol on Monkey Forest Street, the team continued to Ubud Art Market on Jalan Raya Ubud, and this market is also a center of activity with the attraction of the Ubud Palace and traditional Balinese dance performances. As in the previous location, the team did not find any violations of immigration laws. I don't know. Meanwhile, the head of the Bali Regional Office of the Ministry of Law and Human Rights emphasized his party's commitment to continue patrolling and monitoring at points of concentration of foreigners, especially in tourist areas. This monitoring is carried out to ensure that all foreigners in Bali comply with immigration regulations. We want to keep Bali safe and conducive for tourists and local residents. In addition to maintaining order, this step shows the government's commitment to supporting a safe and orderly tourism sector amidst the high number of tourist visits to Bali. Immigration patrols will continue to be carried out routinely in various other locations in Bali and other locations where there's a lot of tourists to ensure that everything is okay. So, and immigration, wandering around in their cars. I love this picture here with the immigration car. I've never seen one before. Pretty cool. And I'm not sure, as I said, exactly what they're looking for when they do this patrol. Are they stopping people in the street and asking to see their visas? Or are they looking for people working illegally, and how would they do that? I don't know. But they're out, wandering around, checking on the situation. And here's one on Papua, where I lived for 9 years. Illegal hunting and land clearing threatens Papua birds. Papua has gorgeous birds. Papua's bird species are facing significant threats due to illegal hunting and land clearing, according to the Senior Vice President and Executive Chair of Cendrawasih, Indonesia. There are land clearings for plantations as well as infrastructure development, which is quite extensive, she said. She highlighted that one of the most targeted species in illegal hunting is the bird of paradise, Cendrawasih, a bird native to Papua. Hunters seek these birds for their feathers, which are commonly used for decorative purposes. She also noted that indigenous communities sometimes use bird of paradise feathers for cultural purposes. We need collective understanding to protect these species. According to FAC cultural leader Pak Frederikus, he explained that bird feathers, particularly those of certain species, are used as adornments on traditional crowns, symbolizing beauty and leadership. Only certain people are allowed to wear them as permitted by cultural traditions, he said. Pak Frederikus emphasized that the use of protected birds is being reduced as awareness grows about the importance of wildlife conservation. Feathers from protected species are now often replaced with feathers from non-protected birds. One of his efforts to raise awareness and preserve Papua's bird species has been through photography and writing. He contributed to a book published by Customary, Indonesia. Pak Frederikus shared that some of the birds featured in the book are also celebrated in traditional songs with lyrics reflecting the bird's unique characteristics and activities. When these birds are documented and put into a book, it's easier for us to sing and recognize the birds, he explained. And somewhere on my many hard drives, I have some cool video of dances of local kids who are imitating birds for certain ceremonies. And if I can find it, I'll put it up here as a And that is it for today. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Stay safe. And if you are visiting Bali, I hope you're having a great time. And if you live here, well, I hope you're also having a great time. I'll see you next time.